Ladies, let me tell you something. A man might not always say it, but when a woman leaves an impression on his mind, he can't stop thinking about her. It's not always about looks, not always about what she wears, not even about what she says. It's about how she makes him feel. You see, a woman who carries herself with confidence, who doesn't chase, who knows her worth, she becomes unforgettable. When a man meets a woman who respects herself enough to walk away when something doesn't feel right, that's when she gets stuck in his head. He'll replay that moment over and over, thinking, man, I messed that up. A woman who speaks with purpose, who doesn't argue for attention but commands it through her peace, that woman becomes the standard. She's not doing too much. She's not begging. She's not over-explaining herself. She just knows who she is, and that alone drives a man crazy. Because men respect what they can't easily have, and they crave what brings them peace. Let me tell you something. Confidence is one of the most powerful things a woman can wear, and it doesn't come from makeup, clothes, or attention. It comes from knowing who you are and what you bring to the table. When a woman truly understands her worth, she carries herself differently. Her energy changes. She walks into a room and doesn't have to say a word, but people can feel her presence. That kind of woman doesn't compete. She doesn't beg, and she doesn't chase. She simply is. And that is what makes her magnetic to a man. See, a confident woman doesn't need to announce that she's confident. It's in how she moves, how she speaks, and how she responds when life tests her. When a man meets a woman like that, she becomes unforgettable because she represents something rare. Peace and power mixed together. Men are naturally drawn to challenge, but what really keeps them hooked is mystery. Confidence gives you that mystery because you don't over-explain yourself. You don't need to convince anyone of your value. You already know it. Men notice everything, the way you carry yourself, how you treat yourself, and how you react when things don't go your way. When you have confidence, you don't let disrespect slide, but you also don't fight for validation. You walk away with grace, and that moment stays in his mind. He'll sit there thinking, she didn't even argue, she just walked away. And that thought alone keeps him awake at night, because deep down men respect strength, and strength wrapped in feminine grace is irresistible. Confidence also changes the way you love. You don't love from fear or desperation. You love from abundance. You don't settle for half love or mixed signals. You know what you deserve, and you don't let anyone play with your heart. A confident woman doesn't fear losing a man. She fears losing herself, trying to keep someone who's not meant for her. That's why men can't forget her, because she's not like the rest. She's not trying to fill a void. She's already whole. And let me tell you this, confidence doesn't mean arrogance. It's quiet. It's humble. It's knowing that your peace is more valuable than attention. When you know that, you stop reacting to every little thing. You stop explaining yourself to people who don't deserve an explanation. You stop shrinking yourself to make others comfortable. That's when a man realizes you're different. You become that woman who can stand on her own 2 feet, who knows her worth without needing constant reassurance. When you're confident, you make better choices. You don't rush. You don't chase people. You attract what aligns with your energy. And when a man experiences that kind of energy, he can't shake it off easily. You live in his thoughts because you represent something he can't easily find. A woman who knows how to love herself first. Confidence makes you unforgettable because it changes the way you treat yourself, and that sets the tone for how others treat you. So when a man meets a woman like that, she lingers in his mind long after the conversation ends. He'll remember the calmness in her tone, the way she carried herself, the way she didn't need to prove anything. And when he's lying awake at night thinking about her, it's not because of what she said. It's because of who she is. That's the power of confidence. It's not loud. It's not desperate. It's not forced. It's quiet. It's steady, and it's unshakable. And once a man experiences that, he won't forget it. Silence has a power most people underestimate. It speaks in ways words never can. When a woman learns to use her silence wisely, she gains control over her emotions and her relationships. Men notice that. They notice when you don't respond to every little thing, when you don't rush to defend yourself, when you don't explain your worth over and over again. That quiet confidence creates a kind of mystery that makes a man stop and think. He starts to wonder what's going through your mind, what you're feeling, what you're not saying. And that's where your power lies, in not always giving him access to everything that's inside you. Most people think communication is about talking, but real communication starts when you know when to stay quiet. When a woman knows how to keep her peace, she becomes a mystery a man wants to solve. She doesn't argue to prove a point because she knows silence speaks louder than shouting ever could. Silence says, I'm not desperate for your understanding. I'm centered, I'm calm, and I'm in control. That kind of energy gets into a man's head. It's what keeps him thinking about you long after the conversation ends. When you stop over explaining yourself, you give a man space to think. You let him wonder. You make him reflect on his actions. Sometimes your silence is not weakness. It's a lesson. It shows maturity. It shows that you won't waste your peace trying to convince someone who's not listening. You'd rather protect your energy than win an argument. That quiet strength is something men don't forget easily because it's rare. You see, a woman who always reacts loses her power, but a woman who stays calm controls the situation. A man expects you to react, to cry, to fight, but when you choose silence instead, it throws him off balance. It makes him curious, and that curiosity turns into attraction. He'll think about what you're feeling, if you're mad, if you've moved on, or if you're even thinking about him at all. And that's what drives him crazy. Silence also builds respect. When you don't respond to disrespect, when you don't entertain nonsense, when you quietly distance yourself from drama, that's when people, including men, begin to respect you. You're teaching them how to treat you without saying a single word. You're showing that your peace is more important than winning a battle. That type of woman doesn't just get attention. She earns admiration. A man might forget what you said in a heated moment, but he'll never forget how you handled it. He'll remember that you didn't lose your composure, that you walked away with dignity, that your silence had meaning. That's what separates a woman who's ordinary from a woman who's unforgettable. And silence isn't about ignoring someone out of pride. It's about knowing your value so deeply that you don't need to engage in anything that doesn't serve you. It's about choosing peace over chaos, calm over drama, and self-control over reaction. That's how you teach a man that you can't be shaken by his behavior. He'll start to respect your strength, even if he doesn't say it out loud. When a woman practices silence with purpose, she communicates power. She doesn't beg, she doesn't plead. She simply lets her absence speak. And trust me, absence screams louder than presence when it's backed by confidence. That's the kind of silence that keeps a man up at night, wondering what's going through your mind, realizing what he's lost, and wishing he could still hear your voice. Because sometimes the most powerful thing you can say is nothing at all. Boundaries are one of the most attractive things a woman can have. They tell a man that you respect yourself enough not to accept anything less than what you deserve. A woman without boundaries will always be taken for granted, but a woman who stands firm on what she believes in becomes unforgettable. When you know where to draw the line, you teach others how to treat you. You show them that access to you is a privilege, not a right. And men respect that even if they don't admit it. They might test you, but when you hold your ground, that's when they start to see your value differently. Men are naturally drawn to challenges, but not the kind that feels like drama. They're drawn to the kind of challenge that comes from a woman who has discipline. A woman who doesn't settle for halfway love, mixed signals, or inconsistent effort. When you say what you mean and mean what you say, you stand out. Because most people talk about self-worth, but few actually live by it. When a man sees that your boundaries are real, he starts to realize you can't be played with. You're not going to chase, argue, or settle. You simply move on. And that's the moment he starts thinking about you, because he knows he just lost access to something rare. Having boundaries doesn't make you cold, it makes you confident. It tells the world that you value your peace, your time, and your heart. You're not shutting people out. You're protecting your energy. You don't allow someone to confuse you or disrespect you repeatedly because you know your worth isn't up for debate. That's powerful, and that's what makes a man rethink everything after he crosses a line. He'll lie awake wondering why you didn't come back, why you didn't chase, why you didn't beg for his attention like others did. And the reason is simple: because you have standards. When a woman has boundaries, she doesn't have to say much. Her actions speak. She doesn't threaten to walk away. She just does it when she needs to. She doesn't complain about being disrespected. She simply stops showing up. That kind of woman becomes a lesson. A man might not understand it at first, but he'll eventually realize that her distance was her way of saying, "You lost the chance to treat me right." Men think about women who make them reflect. A woman with boundaries makes a man question his own behavior. She becomes the mirror he didn't know he needed. And that reflection stays in his mind. Because while other women tried to please him, she was the one who challenged him to rise higher. She didn't let his words confuse her. She paid attention to his actions. That's what sets her apart. A woman with boundaries doesn't operate from fear. She knows that losing someone who doesn't respect her isn't a loss, it's protection. She's not trying to control anyone. She's controlling herself. She understands that love without respect is not love at all. So she gives her energy only where it's reciprocated. When you live with that kind of self-respect, you naturally attract better things. You attract people who value your time, men who approach you differently, and relationships that bring peace instead of pain. You stop trying to convince anyone to see your worth, because the right person won't need convincing. And that's when your boundaries turn into beauty, the kind that glows from within. A man will think about you all night when he realizes that you weren't punishing him. You were just honoring yourself. He'll remember that you didn't chase him when he pulled away, that you didn't fight to stay where you weren't respected, and that you had the strength to let go. That kind of strength doesn't fade from a man's memory. It stays with him long after you're gone. Energy speaks louder than words. You can say all the right things, but if your energy doesn't match, people can feel it. The way you carry yourself, the way you move, and the energy you bring into a room, that's what people, especially men, remember. When a woman has calm, confident energy, she doesn't have to talk too much. Her presence does the talking. A man might not even understand why he can't stop thinking about her, but it's because her energy left an impression deeper than her words ever could. When you have peaceful energy, you become someone who stands out in a world full of noise. You don't get pulled into chaos, you don't feed into drama, and you don't need to prove your point every time. That calmness draws a man in because it feels safe. It feels grounding. Most people don't realize how rare that is, to meet someone whose spirit feels like peace instead of pressure. Men may meet many beautiful women, but the one whose energy brings calmness to his mind will be the one he can't forget. A woman's energy is what creates connection. When your words and actions come from a place of love, peace, and confidence, people want to be around you. They feel lighter when they talk to you. But when your energy is full of worry, neediness, or fear, it creates distance. That's why inner peace is so powerful. It's not about pretending to be strong. It's about actually being centered enough to not let the world shake you. That's the kind of strength that men notice. Quiet, but powerful. Sometimes it's not what you say, but how you say it. A calm tone can change everything. When you speak from peace instead of pain, you disarm people. You make them listen differently. Men are used to defensiveness, loud reactions, and arguments. But when you respond with grace, with steady energy, it surprises them. It makes them pay attention. It makes them remember you. That's how you stay in a man's mind, not by shouting your worth, but by embodying it. You can also shift energy by how you treat yourself. When you carry yourself with self-respect, people feel it. They see that you take care of yourself, that you know what you bring to the table. You don't need to explain why you deserve love or respect, because your energy already says it. It tells the world that you have standards, but it also shows that you have compassion. You're strong, but not hard. You're kind, but not weak. That balance is what keeps people and men drawn to you. Energy is also about what you allow into your space. When you protect your peace, you protect your energy. You don't entertain gossip, negativity, or disrespect. You understand that your environment affects your vibe, and your vibe affects how others treat you. When a man sees that you don't let anyone drain you, he sees that you're not easy to shake. That's when he starts to admire you. That's when you stay on his mind, because he knows he's dealing with someone different. And here's the thing, your energy lingers long after you leave. A man might forget what you said, but he'll remember how you made him feel. He'll remember the calm you brought, the warmth in your smile, the steadiness in your voice. He'll remember that being around you felt good, that you didn't demand, you inspired. That's what keeps him thinking about you all night. Because words fade, looks fade, but energy, real, pure, confident energy stays. It's what makes you unforgettable long after the conversation ends. Self-respect is the foundation of every strong woman. It's the quiet power that tells the world, I know my value. When a woman truly respects herself, she doesn't settle for less. She doesn't chase love that doesn't honor her, and she doesn't lose herself trying to be enough for someone else. She already knows she's enough. That kind of woman carries an energy that's impossible to ignore. She doesn't have to demand respect because everything about her attitude, her decisions, her boundaries, already commands it. When a man meets a woman who respects herself, it shakes him. He can't treat her like everyone else because she won't allow it. She doesn't get caught up in temporary emotions or attention. She's focused on what's real, what's consistent, and what aligns with her peace. That kind of self-awareness is intimidating to some men, but unforgettable to all. Because when you meet someone who refuses to tolerate disrespect, you remember her. You remember how she made you step up your game just to meet her level. Self-respect changes the way you love. You don't love out of fear of losing someone. You love from strength, not desperation. You know that you don't have to lower your standards to keep someone around. You give, but you give wisely. You care, but you care with boundaries. You understand that loving someone deeply doesn't mean tolerating pain endlessly. You stop accepting apologies without change. You stop fighting for someone who isn't fighting for you. That's what self-respect does. It frees you from cycles of emotional exhaustion. A woman with self-respect doesn't chase closure because she knows that walking away is closure. She doesn't argue with people who already know they're wrong, and she doesn't explain her worth to someone who's shown they can't see it. Her silence becomes her power. Her peace becomes her weapon, and her self-respect becomes her protection. A man might not understand it at first, but he'll feel it when she's gone. He'll lie awake realizing that she was different, that she was steady, that she had value beyond words. Self-respect also changes the way you show up in relationships. You no longer need constant reassurance because your validation doesn't come from someone else's approval. You stop being available for people who only show up when it's convenient for them. You learn to choose yourself without guilt. And that shift, that moment you start choosing yourself, is when everything changes. Men start treating you differently because you've changed what you accept. You're no longer trying to fit into anyone's life. You're building one that feels good to you. When you have self-respect, you radiate confidence. You don't need to talk about how strong you are. People can see it. It's in your posture, your tone, your choices. It's in how you handle disappointment without losing your dignity. And that kind of grace is powerful. A man will remember the woman who didn't lose herself trying to keep him. He'll think about how she didn't beg, didn't chase, didn't break. She simply walked away with her head held high. That image will stay in his mind long after you're gone, because a woman with self-respect is rare. She doesn't crumble when love ends, she grows. She doesn't let pain harden her, she lets it teach her. She doesn't look for someone to complete her. She knows she's already whole, and that's the kind of woman a man never forgets. Her absence echoes louder than her presence because she taught him something, that respect is more powerful than attraction, and that a woman who truly values herself is impossible to replace. Authenticity is the most powerful quality a woman can have. It's rare, it's beautiful, and it's something that can't be faked. When a woman is authentic, she's real about who she is, her strengths, her flaws, her emotions, her dreams. She doesn't wear a mask to please people or pretend to be perfect to fit into someone's expectations. She's comfortable being herself. That kind of honesty is magnetic because in a world full of pretense and filters, realness stands out. A man might meet many women, but the one who is unapologetically herself will stay on his mind long after the conversation ends. Being authentic doesn't mean being loud or rebellious. It means being at peace with who you are. You don't try to copy others, and you don't shape yourself into what you think someone wants. You trust that being real will attract the right kind of love, the kind that accepts you for you. When a woman is genuine, she doesn't play games or hide behind ego. She speaks truth with kindness and moves with confidence. That kind of woman doesn't chase validation. She lives in alignment with her values. That's why men respect her. She's not confusing. She's not manipulative. She's consistent. When you're authentic, your energy feels different. You're not forcing connections. You're not pretending to be busy. You're not acting unbothered when you actually care. You're real about your feelings, but you also know your worth. You can care deeply without losing yourself. That balance, loving freely but standing firmly, makes you unforgettable. A man will always think about the woman who made him feel seen and accepted while still maintaining her own individuality. She didn't need to be someone else to be loved. She simply was herself, and that was enough. Authenticity also brings peace. When you stop pretending, you stop living in fear. You stop worrying about who approves of you and start focusing on who appreciates you as you are. You stop overthinking what to say or how to act because everything you do comes from a place of truth. And that truth is powerful. It creates comfort. When a man feels that comfort, that realness, he relaxes around you. He lets his guard down because your energy feels safe. You're not judging, not performing, not pretending. You're just being. And that's when true connection happens. There's something special about a woman who can be soft and strong at the same time. She doesn't hide her emotions to look tough, but she also doesn't let her emotions control her. She's honest about her pain, but she doesn't let it define her. She's kind, but she knows when to walk away. That balance between vulnerability and strength is what authenticity is all about. It's not about being perfect. It's about being real. A man might not remember every conversation you had, but he'll remember how authentic you were. He'll remember that you didn't try to impress him with fake confidence or exaggerated stories. You were just yourself, genuine, kind, honest. And that simplicity is what makes you unforgettable. Because people crave real connection, but few know how to give it. When you live authentically, you attract relationships built on truth, not illusion. You stop fearing rejection because you'd rather be disliked for who you are than loved for who you're not. That's true power. And when a man experiences that kind of realness, he can't forget it. He'll think about the woman who didn't play games, who didn't hide behind pride, who looked him in the eye and spoke from her heart. That's the kind of woman who lingers in his thoughts, not because she tried to be perfect, but because she was real, and real love, real energy, real presence. That's something a man will think about all night.